I'll write part 1, the laughingstock of your HFY Sci-Fi story in 800 words, using simple English and Korean names. Here's the story in third-person style. The mighty warships of the Galactic Conclave floated like silver fish in the dark ocean of space. Their sleek hulls shimmered with energy shields, and their weapons could destroy moons. Among them, the human ship Persistence looked like a child's toy. Captain Dae-hyun sat in his worn command chair, watching the alien ships through the main view screen. His ship was small, boxy, and covered in patches. The Persistence had once been an Earth cargo vessel before being converted for space exploration. "They're laughing at us again," said Jisoo, the ship's engineer. She pointed to a message on her screen. The alien captains were sharing jokes about the human vessel in a channel they thought humans couldn't access. Dae-hyun sighed. "Let them laugh. We didn't come here to win beauty contests." The Persistence represented humanity's first official mission with the Galactic Conclave, an alliance of 17 advanced alien species. Humans were the newest members, having discovered faster-than-light travel only 15 years ago. The other species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Tae-woo, the tactical officer, looked up from his station. "Captain, the Conclave Council is calling for a meeting. All ship commanders must attend." "Time to face the music," Dae-hyun said, straightening his simple blue uniform. The meeting took place on the Conclave flagship, a massive vessel called the Enlightenment. Its meeting room had a round table with chairs designed for various alien bodies. Dae-hyun sat in the human chair, feeling small next to the tall, four-armed Valtar commander and the floating gas bubble of the Miri representative. Admiral Kaz, a reptilian alien with golden scales, stood at the head of the table. "A grave threat has emerged at the edge of Conclave space," he said. "3 of our outposts have gone silent. The scout ships we sent to investigate never returned." Holograms appeared above the table, showing the destroyed outposts. The images shocked everyone. The stations were torn apart, their advanced materials bent and broken. "We must respond with force," Admiral Kaz continued. "I am assembling a fleet to investigate and eliminate this threat." The alien commanders nodded, their faces serious. Then the Admiral looked at Dae-hyun. "The human ship will join us," he said. Surprised whispers filled the room. The blue-skinned teller commander stood up. "Admiral, with respect, the human vessel will only slow us down. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "The Council has spoken," Admiral Kaz replied. "All member species must contribute." Dae-hyun knew the truth. They wanted the Persistence as cannon fodder. If something could destroy Conclave outposts, the human ship would be easy prey. While the aliens died quickly, the Conclave forces could gather valuable information. Back on the Persistence, Dae-hyun called his senior officers to explain the situation. "So we're bait," said Hye-jin, the medical officer. Her dark eyes flashed, with anger. "Basically," Dae-hyun admitted. "But we have something they don't realize." He pointed to the ship's schematics on the wall screen. The Persistence wasn't built like their ships. Alien vessels depend on AI systems, quantum fields, and pure energy. When those fail, they're helpless. Engineer Jisoo nodded enthusiastically. "Our ship has backup systems for the backup systems. We have manual controls, physical wires, and mechanical parts they consider outdated. What they see as weakness might be strength," said Yunho, the communications specialist. "We're used to working with less, making do, improvising." The fleet departed the next day. 27 ships formed a perfect formation, with the Persistence trailing behind. The human crew worked hard to keep up, pushing their engines beyond recommended limits. 3 days later, they reached the edge of known space. The sensors detected strange energy readings ahead. "All ships, battle positions," ordered Admiral Kaz. Over the fleet channel. The alien vessels moved with perfect coordination, their formations shifting like a dance. The Persistence stayed at the back, watching. Then it happened. A wave of energy washed over the fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to change. Then, one by one, the alien ships went dark. Their lights flickered and died. Their engines stopped. They floated helplessly in space. On the Persistence, alarms blared. "EMP attack!" shouted Jisoo, her hands flying over her console. "Main computer is down!" But unlike the alien ships, the Persistence didn't die. The backup systems kicked. In old-fashioned circuit breakers flipped. Mechanical systems engaged. "Switch to manual controls," ordered Daehyun, pulling out a physical steering column from under his chair. Across the ship, the crew adapted. They used hand cranks to adjust antennas. They read paper manuals to restart systems. They communicated with wired headsets when wireless failed. From the darkness ahead, something emerged. A massive ship unlike any they had seen before. It moved toward the helpless Conclave fleet, weapons charging. "Captain," said Tae-woo quietly. "We're the only ones still functioning." Dae-hyun looked at his crew. The most underestimated ship in the universe was now the galaxy's last hope. "Battle stations," he said. "Let's show them what humans can do." The massive unknown ship loomed over the disabled Conclave fleet. While the advanced alien vessels floated helplessly in space, the Persistence remained operational. Captain Dae-hyun gripped the manual steering column tightly, his face illuminated by the red emergency lights. "What are we looking at?" he asked, voice steady despite the tension. Science Officer Min-ah studied her readings. "It's unlike anything in our database. The ship appears to be alive somehow, part machine, part organic. The enemy vessel was enormous, easily 20 times the size of the Persistence. Its surface rippled with strange patterns that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Where most ships had engines, this one had pulsing sacks of energy. "It's scanning us," reported Yunho from communications. He worked with physical dials and switches instead of the usual holographic interface. "I think it's surprised we're still functioning." Through the view screen, they watched as the mysterious ship extended metallic tendrils toward the closest Conclave vessel. The tendrils pierced the hull, and lights briefly flickered inside before dying completely. "It's feeding on their technology," whispered Jisoo, "absorbing their energy and data." Captain Dae-hyun made a quick decision. "All non-essential systems remain off, minimal power signatures only. Tae-woo, prepare manual targeting for missiles. Jisoo, ready the emergency thrusters." "What's the plan, Captain?" asked Hyejin, preparing her medical bay for potential casualties. "We can't outfight that thing, but maybe we can outthink it," Daehyun replied. "Min-ah, can you send a message to the Conclave fleet?" Min-ah shook her head. "Their communication systems are completely dead. Even their backup systems are more advanced than ours. And that's why they failed." "Captain," Yunho called urgently, "I'm picking up something strange. Patterns in the energy the alien ship is emitting. I think it's trying to communicate with us." The view screen flickered and strange symbols appeared. They shifted and changed rapidly, forming complex patterns. "It's probing our computer systems," said Min-ah, looking for a way in. "Disconnect all networked systems now," ordered Dae-hyun. "Physical connections only." The crew worked quickly, pulling cables and flipping switches. The Persistence was designed with manual overrides for everything, a feature the aliens had mocked as primitive. The enemy ship's tendrils now turned toward them. The Persistence shuddered as the alien technology scanned their hull. "Captain, I have an idea," said Jisoo suddenly. "Their technology seems to feed on energy systems. What if we give them something to choke on?" She explained her plan quickly. It was risky, but they had few options. "Do it!" Daehyun ordered. Jisoo began rewiring the ship's power systems. Meanwhile, the alien vessel drew closer. Its tendrils reached for the Persistence. "Everyone brace!" shouted Daehyun as the first tendril touched their hull. The ship shook violently. Systems sparked, but unlike the alien vessels, they didn't go dark. "Now, Jisoo," the captain commanded. Jisoo flipped a series of switches. The Persistence suddenly pumped all its power into a feedback loop. The energy surged through the alien tendril, carried back to the enemy vessel. The massive ship recoiled. Its smooth surface rippled chaotically. The tendril disconnected from the Persistence and withdrew. "It worked," exclaimed Tae-woo. "The feedback overloaded its systems temporarily." Not for long, warned Mina, pointing to her readings. It's adapting already. Captain Daehyun turned to his crew. We just bought ourselves some time. That thing disabled an entire conclave fleet in seconds. We need to figure out what it wants and how to stop it. Mina studied the data they had collected. It seems to be some kind of artificial intelligence but merged with organic components. It's consuming technology, learning, adapting. Can we communicate with it? Asked. Daehyun Yunho nodded slowly. I think so. Its patterns are becoming more regular. It's trying to establish a common language. Let's try something simple, suggested Daehyun. Mathematical sequences, universal constants. Working with basic radio equipment, Yunho transmitted a series of prime numbers, the simplest form of intelligent communication. The response came quickly. The alien ship transmitted the same sequence back, then extended it. It understands, breathed Yunho. Over the next hour, they established a rudimentary form of communication. The entity called itself the Void and identified as a collective intelligence. It says it's seeking knowledge, translated Yunho. It consumes technology to learn, to grow. Ask why it's attacking ships, ordered Daehyun. The answer was disturbing. The Void didn't consider its actions an attack. It saw the advanced technology as offerings, food for its endless hunger for information. It had no concept that living beings operated the vessels.
We need to make it understand, said Daehyun. Show it the alien crews are living beings. As they worked to communicate this concept, the captain noticed movement among the disabled fleet. Several of the alien ships were beginning to drift
Toward the Void, pulled by an invisible force. We're running out of time, he said grimly. We need to either convince this thing to stop or find a way to destroy it before it consumes the entire fleet, with their crews still aboard. Mina looked up from her station. Captain, I think I've found its weakness, but exploiting it will require going inside. The crew of the Persistence gathered around the central table in the ship's mess hall. Captain Daehyun spread out paper maps showing the interior of the Void, based on Mina's scans. Despite having advanced tablets, they used paper because it couldn't be hacked or disabled. The entity has a central core, Mina explained, pointing to a pulsing area on the map. That's where it processes all the data it collects. If we can reach it, we might be able to communicate directly, or shut it down if necessary. Getting there won't be easy, said Tae-woo. The Void is pulling more ships in. We have maybe 6 hours before the first crews are absorbed. Captain Daehyun looked at his team. I need volunteers for a boarding party. We'll use the maintenance shuttle. Its systems are simple enough to resist the Void's technology. Every hand went up. The captain chose his team. Himself, Mina for her scientific knowledge, Jisoo for engineering expertise, and Tae-woo for security. Hye-jin would remain behind as acting captain. Keep trying to warn the disabled ships, Daehyun told Yunho. If anyone responds, tell them to disable all networked systems immediately. The maintenance shuttle was small and cramped. It had no computers, just basic controls and life support. They wore simple spacesuits with mechanical oxygen systems, rather than the electronic ones used by the conclave species. As they approached the Void, they saw an opening form in its surface, like a mouth ready to swallow them. It's inviting us in, whispered Mina. They entered slowly. Inside was a maze of tunnels that seemed to shift and change. Soft blue light pulsed along the walls. The air was breathable, but had a metallic taste. This way, said Mina, following, her handheld scanner. The core is 2 kilometers down. They moved carefully through the tunnels. Sometimes the path ahead would close, forcing them to find another route. It was like the Void was testing them. Look. Jisoo pointed ahead. Floating in the corridor were pieces of technology, parts from the disabled ships that had been pulled apart and studied. It's learning, said Tae-woo, taking things apart to understand how they work. As they went deeper, they found entire sections of ships. And then something disturbing, stasis pods containing alien crew members. They were alive but suspended in a dreamlike state. It's studying them too, said Mina. Not just their technology. Captain Dae-hyun touched his communicator. Yunho, do you read me? We found the missing crew members. They're alive. The response was broken by static. Captain discovered. The Void is learning machine, created by lost civilization. The transmission cut off. They were on their own now. They reached a large chamber. In the center floated a glowing sphere, the core of the Void. Surrounding it were thousands of tendrils, each connected to different pieces of technology. Incredible, breathed Min-ah. It's like a giant brain, but it learns by physically connecting to things. As they watched, the sphere pulsed. Suddenly, images appeared around them, projections showing different alien worlds and civilizations. The Void was trying to communicate. Min-ah studied the images. It's showing us its history. I think it was designed to collect and preserve knowledge. But something went wrong. It started consuming technology instead of just learning from it. Can we reason with it? Asked Captain Dae-hyun. I don't think it understands the concept of life as we do, said Min-ah. It sees technology as an extension of intelligence, not a tool. When it absorbs a ship's systems, it thinks it's communicating. Jisoo had been examining the core closely. Captain, I think I can reconfigure its learning protocols. Make it understand the difference between technology and life. Do it, he ordered. Jisoo began working, using simple tools to access panels around the core. The Void didn't stop her. It seemed curious about what she was doing. Suddenly, the chamber shook violently. Tae-woo checked his scanner. Something's happening to the Void. It's digesting one of the conclave ships. Hurry, Jisoo, urged the captain. Jisoo worked faster. Almost there. This is harder than reprogramming our ship systems. It's not logical like our computers. The shaking grew worse. Parts of the chamber began to close in on them. It's defensive systems, said Min-ah. Its senses were changing. Captain Dae-hyun made a quick decision. He pulled out a small device from his pack, a portable EMP generator. If reasoning fails, we use this. It might disable the Void long enough for us to escape. Jisoo looked up from her work. Wait, I've almost got it. Just need to make one more connection. The walls pressed closer. Tendrils reached for them. Now, or never, Jisoo, said the captain. With a final adjustment, Jisoo connected 2 circuits. The core flashed brightly, then changed color from blue to green. Everything stopped. The walls retreated. The tendrils withdrew. Around them, new images appeared, but different now. They showed humans and aliens working together. They showed ships as vessels carrying life, not just technology. It understands, said Min-ah in wonder. It can see the difference now. A tendril gently extended toward them. At its tip was a small crystal that glowed with information. It's offering us knowledge, said Captain Dae-hyun. A fair exchange. The crystal the Void offered contained more than knowledge. It held a warning. Captain Dae-hyun and his team rushed back to the Persistence with this critical information. The moment they reached the ship, alarms were blaring. What's happening? Dae-hyun demanded as he entered the bridge. Hye-jin stood from the captain's chair. Something's coming, much bigger than the Void. The view screen showed a disturbing sight. Far in the distance, space itself seemed to tear open. Through this wound, in reality, emerged massive ships, dozens of them, each dwarfed the Void. The crystal contained star maps, Min-ah explained, connecting it to a simple reader. The Void was an explorer, a scout sent ahead of the main fleet. The harvesters are coming. Harvesters? Asked Yunho. That's what the Void calls them. They're like it, but far more aggressive. They don't just learn from technology, they consume entire civilizations. Captain Dae-hyun's face hardened. How long before they reach us? 3 hours at most, said Tae-woo, checking the readings. The captain opened a channel to the Void. Can you help us fight them? The response came as images on their screen. The Void battling the harvesters, losing badly. It tried before, translated Min-ah. The harvesters see it as defective because it learned to respect life. What about the conclave ships? Asked Jisoo. Still disabled. The Void is trying to repair them, but it will take days. Captain Dae-hyun paced the bridge. So we have a small human ship, a friendly but damaged entity, and a disabled fleet against a massive invasion force. The odds are impossible, said Tae-woo quietly. Impossible for logical aliens, maybe, said the captain with a grim smile. But humans specialize in beating impossible odds. He called the crew together and laid out his plan. It was desperate and dangerous, exactly the kind of strategy no logical species would attempt. The harvesters are connected by a hive mind, he explained. They share information instantly. We can use that against them. Minna understood first. The Void's crystal. It contains information on the harvester's communication frequency. Exactly. If we can create a virus in that frequency and get it into their network, we might disable them long enough to escape. But we'd need to get right in the middle of their fleet to transmit it, said Jisoo. That's suicide. Not if the Void helps us, replied Dae-hyun. It can mask our approach. They worked frantically. Minna created the virus while Jisoo built a transmitter powerful enough to broadcast. Hyunho established a deeper connection with the Void, teaching it to understand human concepts like sacrifice and hope. The harvester fleet drew closer. Their ships were like metallic mountains, blotting out the stars. Ready? Asked Dae-hyun as the crew took their positions. Everyone nodded, though fear showed clearly on their faces. Launch! The Persistence shot forward, the Void moving alongside it. As they approached the harvester fleet, the Void extended a shroud of energy around the human ship, masking its presence. They haven't detected us, whispered Tae-woo. They weaved between the massive ships, heading for the center of the formation where the command vessel floated. It was twice the size of the others, pulsing with malevolent energy. Suddenly alarms blared. They've spotted us, shouted Yunho. The shroud collapsed as energy beams struck the Void. It shuddered in pain, but continued protecting the much smaller Persistence. We're almost in position, said Minna, just a little closer. The ship rocked violently as a glancing blow hit them. Power failed on 3 decks. Jisoo's hands flew over manual controls, rerouting essential systems. Engines failing, she reported. We can't take another hit. They watched in horror as the command ship turned its main weapon toward them, a massive cannon that could vaporize them instantly. Move us between the Void and that weapon, ordered Dae-hyun. Sir? Questioned Tae-woo in shock. Do it. The Void can't transmit the virus if it's destroyed. Understanding dawned on their faces. The Persistence would take the hit meant for the Void, giving it time to upload the virus. It's been an honor, said the captain, as Tae-woo positioned the ship. The weapon fired, but at the last second, the Void pushed the Persistence aside and took the full force of the blast. It began to break apart, but not before connecting directly to the harvester network. It's transmitting the virus, shouted Minna. Around them, the massive ships began to falter. Their lights flickered. Their movements became erratic. The Void sacrificed itself, said Yunho softly. It learned humanity's greatest strength, being willing to die for others. But the victory was short-lived. The command ship was already adapting, fighting off the virus. We need to finish this, said Captain Dae-hyun. Jisoo, do we have any power left for the engines? Barely enough for 1 burn, Captain. Set a collision course with the command ship's core. Everyone to escape pods. We're not leaving you, Captain, said Hyojin firmly. Dae-hyun looked at his crew, humans who had been underestimated their entire lives. Together, then, the damaged Persistence turned toward the heart of the enemy. With its last bit of power, it accelerated. The Persistence plunged toward the command ship's core, trailing debris and fire. The crew braced for impact, faces set with determination. At the last moment, Tae-woo noticed something on his scanner. Captain, the Conclave ships, they're powering up. Through the view screen, they saw the alien vessels lighting up one by one. On the edge of the formation, the Admiral's flagship glowed to life. How? Breathed Jisoo. The Void, said Minna, understanding dawning. Before it died, it must have transferred repair instructions to their systems. instructions simple enough to work on their backup power. A transmission crackled through their speakers. It was Admiral Kaz. "Human vessel, pull away, we will handle this." The Conclave fleet, now partially restored, moved to surround the Harvester command ship. Their weapons charged, coordinating fire on a single point. "Turn us around," ordered Dae-hyun. "Let's get clear." The Persistence limped away as the combined firepower of 17 advanced species struck the Harvester vessel. The explosion was blinding, the shockwave sending the human ship tumbling. When they stabilized, they saw the remaining Harvester ships retreating back through the tear in space. 3 weeks later, Captain Dae-hyun stood before the full Conclave Council. The Grand Chamber was packed with representatives from all member species. The Persistence had been towed back to Conclave space and repaired, though repair crews had been instructed to leave its primitive systems intact. "We owe you a debt we cannot repay," said the High Counselor, a tall being with crystalline skin. "Without your ship's unique capabilities, without your crew's courage and ingenuity, we would have fallen to the Harvesters." Dae-hyun bowed slightly. "We did what anyone would do." "No," said Admiral Kaz, stepping forward. "That is precisely the point. No other species would have done what you did. We would have followed logic, calculated the odds, and retreated. Humans alone chose to stand and fight against impossible odds. The Void left us a gift before its sacrifice," the High Counselor continued. "Data about the Harvesters. They will return in greater numbers. We must be ready." A hologram appeared, showing a new ship design. It combined the elegant lines of Conclave technology with the redundant systems and manual overrides of human engineering. "The first of a new class of vessels," explained Admiral Kaz. "We're calling it the Resilience class. They will be stronger than pure technology alone, as you humans have proven." Captain Dae-hyun and his crew were given medals of honor. More importantly, they were given respect. In the weeks that followed, human engineers worked alongside alien designers, teaching them the value of backup systems, of mechanical solutions, of thinking outside logical pathways. Human diplomatic status was elevated. No longer were they junior, members barely tolerated. Now they had a permanent seat on the Defense Council. 6 months later, Dae-hyun stood on the bridge of a new ship. The Persistence Tixos was larger than its predecessor, but maintained the philosophy that had saved them: simple solutions alongside advanced technology, human intuition alongside alien logic. His original crew had been promoted but chose to stay together. They had formed a bond that transcended rank. "Where to, Captain?" asked Tae-woo from the tactical station. Dae-hyun looked at the star map. The tier in space where the Harvesters had emerged was marked in red. Beyond it lay unknown territory, dangers, yes, but also wonders. "Before the Void died, it showed me something," he said quietly. "Hidden among the stars is the civilization that created it, peaceful beings who tried to warn us. We're going to find them, form an alliance." Mina looked up from her station. "The Harvesters destroyed their homeworld centuries ago. Do you think any survived?" "If there's one thing humans understand," said Dae-hyun with a smile, "it's that the underestimated often survive when no one expects it." He sat in his command chair, comfortable, worn in, with manual controls built into the armrests just in case. "Take us out, Yoon-ho. Let's see what's waiting for the most underestimated ship in the universe." The Persistence 2 moved gracefully away from the station, its hybrid engines glowing with blue fire. As they accelerated to light speed, the stars stretched into lines of light. Behind them, the Conclave fleet was preparing, learning, adapting, stronger, now because they had learned humanity's greatest secret. Being underestimated was sometimes the greatest advantage of all.